One thing I want to chat about as we are winding down, right? I know you talk specifically about your diet and different things like that when it comes
Oh
to
boy.
nutrition,
Oh
right?
boy. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so it could be controversial the way you eat, right? People don't necessarily understand it. It's different than what most people are thought. They think we should be countercultural with what we're taught we should. You know what I'm saying? First of all, how do you eat? What have you eaten today? What have you eaten this week? What has that diet been like?
So for the since November 1st, or
Okay.
I should say June 12th of 2020, I've been 95% animal based. So predominantly carnivore, meaning animal byproducts only. And of the dairy that I consume, all of it's raw. So nothing pasteurized,
Yeah.
homogenized. It's all raw and real. Cheeses, yogurts, kefir, milk, etc. Meats, cuts, fowl, game. Doesn't need to be beef, just, lamb, chicken, eggs, etc. Why? Because I had competed as a natural bodybuilder for several years, won a bunch of trophies, and finished pretty well at a world championship in 2019, top 3 in physique as a vegan of all things, because people said you couldn't do it. You won't be able to hang and you won't. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. But before that, I dated a girl that was a vegetarian for over a year. So I was a vegetarian by default. I competed using the standard American diet, or the SAD diet, when I first started bodybuilding, then did the bro diet, low fat, high carbs, high protein, then did the if it fits your macros diet, which is not mattering what you're really consuming, just hit the numbers regardless of the quality. So I ate a lot of Popeyes because I love Popeyes.
Man.
New Orleans, obviously. I was like, oh, I can get the strips blackened instead of fried and like skip the fat and even though the quality of the chicken is not the most optimal. Love you though, Popeyes.
Right.
But still, if it fits your macros, it's like just hit the numbers, just hit the numbers. Don't worry about how bad the micronutrients are going to make you feel. And then I was a vegan for that last bit in 2019. And then a friend of mine was like, man, you should check out this carnivore diet. And I was like, oh, it's like keto. I've done that before. He's like, no, bro, totally meat, just animal foods. I was like, yeah, so it's like keto. And he's like, no, dude. And he does it again. And I'm like, I had to have a little humble pie and an ego check, because I was like, dude, I just finished a world championship run. So like, I think I know, I've been coaching professional athletes and models in New York as a trainer and a nutrition coach. And I had all this experience with diets and I hadn't had this one. And so I was very, like I said, ego driven on the response. He's like, dude, just read about it. And I was like, all right, cool. Again, curious, Josh. Even amidst my arrogance and all that, I was like, all right, I'll bite.
Right.
So I started reading about this and I was like, okay, it looks cool. I'll try anything for 30 days. Why not? So I started and I went 30 days, totally strict, just meat, water, salt, and even didn't have caffeine for the first 30. And it was radical, totally radical. The changes were amazing. I was, wow, really shocked. And since then, I have been basically a mad scientist in delving into this. This is my 3rd year now, because I cannot disprove the hypothesis. That's the job of a scientist, Josh, is
Yep.
to try constantly to disprove your hypothesis. You're not trying to create law or dogma. You're trying to disprove it, right? That's how Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. 10,000 ways how not to do it. And they'll finally, he was like, oh, cool, there we go. But I got 10,000 ways how not to do it. That's the real data collection. So every one of those other diets I subjected myself to for a minimum of 1 year, because to me, that's an adequate sample size to draw data from, as opposed when someone's like, yeah, I tried the carnivore diet for like a week and it didn't. Shut the fuck up. Hey, I tried vegan for a month or like, shut the fuck up. No, I did a minimum of a year for all those: vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, Mediterranean, keto, Whole30, paleo, standard American, bro, if it fits your macros. I don't know, probably some other stuff too, but minimum of a year. So where I was totally immersed. And since starting this one, either strict carnivore or animal based, I can't disprove it. I keep trying, don't get me wrong. So to your question, since November 1st, I've been strict carnivore, meaning nothing but meat, salt, water, since November 1st of 2022. Why? Because I had clients come on board and they start, not all of them, but many of them, what I call my 30-day carnivore reset. And a lot of times I do this with them. So that way they can see, hey, I'm right there with you, because I do not prescribe or write nutritionally or exercise or otherwise habits or anything to my clients that I don't either do still currently myself or have not done in the past. So whether it's with fasting, whether it's meditation, reading, writing, stretching, exercise, the diets, all of them, again, having used myself as the N of 1 to be able to draw the data from for a way of empathy, because I can't have someone come to me and be like, you don't understand. You've never eaten this way. The fuck I haven't. If I could undergo a menstrual cycle to be able to understand what that feels like to connect better with my female clients, I would absolutely do it, dude. Pregnancy, like anything to be able to better understand the people that I serve, for sure. Why not? Like, it's better for me, better for them. It's better for all of us if we could better understand each other, right? So the 30-day reset, 30 days strict, started November 1st was the most recent cycle. And then for me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to push it. I'm going to go 66, because there's an old Swedish behavioral psychology experiment about habit building. And they tested subjects. I forget how many, I forget the date, and I forget the doctor's name, which I know is terrible to try to quote for text, but they did a test of, I want to say it was 168 days or 150-ish days. And they found 66 to be the peak point of habit building. Not 30, not 28, not 6 weeks, but 66 days. I was like, okay, I'm going to go 66. Let's see what happens. And I've done this before, carnivore, for that period of time, but never like so strict that I was like, no fruit, no nothing, absolutely just dead on. Started 66 days, November 1st. And then like 2 weeks into it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to push it a step further. Number one, because I lead from the front and I want my people to know, like, you may be suffering, but look, I'm going to show you, I'm going to suffer more to make you not feel worse about yourself, but to know that you can still push it further. And I'm going to show you that it can be done, that you've got even more in the tank. So don't feel down. If struggle is good, it's confirmation of the word. But watch what I'm going to do to show you, like, there's even more to come. 2 weeks in, I was like, I'm going to put myself in a deficit as well, calorie deficit. And then I'm also going to do this 1 meal a day, OMAD, OMAD. So today is actually my 66-day OMAD completion. It's funny that we're having the podcast today because I've literally got it on my calendar with all my red X's, and today is circled because it's the day I finished my 66-day OMAD, or plus 15 on top of that for the totally carnivore. And tomorrow is going to be the first day where I reintroduce non-animal foods into my diet. So maybe some fruit, maybe some yogurt, maybe some dark chocolate, high quality dark chocolate, but it'll be like a singular reintroduction of these things to see how they make me feel. You ask about how I'm doing what I ate today. Well, today was 6 eggs, corn and soy free organic eggs with a bison short rib, with like 8 ounces of wild caught shrimp, about 8 ounces of corn soy free organic chicken thighs. And then I made some scratch Alfredo sauce with raw cream, raw butter, raw tallow, and a little bit of salt, and reduced all that down, cooked it all together. And I mean, again, dude, I'm from New Orleans. Like, this is,
you still got to cook.
I live in the kitchen. I love it. All 66 days were 1 meal a day. And I've got it in my story so you can see the OMAD journey of every meal that I've had throughout, with whether it's bone marrow, testicles, liver, organs of all kinds, bison, chicken, fowl, lamb, fish, going through the gamut of things. But it's not about how you look. Like, people need to see things to believe things. And I've posted my transformation throughout. Like, I started at 172.4 pounds. I weighed 157.8 this morning, or 157.6. So 15 pounds lost in 66 days. So that puts me about 1.6 pounds per week. I had a gain in lean body muscle from 88.1% to 95.5% of total body muscle. So my body fat went from about 8.1% down to what it is now, about 4.5%. So to think that this can't be healthy, and I was at the VA 2 days ago for labs, so they'll be back shortly. But the last time I did this was in August of 2022, and my scores were in the lower than 1 percentile risk for heart disease and arterial sclerosis. And I've been eating the same way, to where the VA nurse, she's like, wow, your labs are incredible. Your blood pressure, HDL, LDL, triglycerides, everything. What do you eat? And I tell them, they're like, oh my God, you got to change that immediately. And I'm like, you literally just told me I have the best labs you've ever seen.
Right.
One. And then the person telling me this doesn't look like you or I.
Right.
And I'm like, boy, this is a weird place to be right now. I'm just going to say, okay, I'll think about that. And I'm like, get the fuck out of my face, But again, seeing is believing. So people need to see the body. Otherwise, they're not going to believe it. They need to see the abs. They need to see all this shit. That's really a byproduct of the lifestyle and the nutrition. But it's the feeling, man. That's the understanding. And I say that so seriously that I got this yesterday from a client that's been with me for 2 weeks. 2 freaking weeks, dude. Talking about a lot of regret he had, and then saying, and I quote, my energy is so good right now. My mood seems way better also. I just feel less burdened, I guess. I've always been someone who gets shit done, but right now, some of the tasks just don't seem like a big deal. For example, moving and buying a new home can be stressful, but I don't even feel slightly overwhelmed at all for some reason. It almost doesn't seem logical that my nutrition would have that kind of impact on things, does it? He's on the 30-day reset 2 weeks in. He's already been animal-based, but he's never been totally strict. Right. And I said, yeah, man, the single most effective thing we can do as humans to have the most profound impact on our health is controlling what we put into our freaking mouths. And that is my line I say to everyone. And then he goes, man, I heard that and I believe it. But there's a difference between belief and experience, I guess. Remember, feeling is understanding. And he says, if this is a glimpse of how I can potentially feel long-term, I'm very optimistic. That's 2 weeks, man. 2 freaking weeks. Another guy I had a call with earlier, a guy that I've known since we were in first grade together. He's been prescribed Xanax since he was an adolescent for anxiety and depression, like 9 or 10 years old. He's been with me for about 2.5 months now. It's been over 2 months since he's taken a pill, Xanax or otherwise, for antidepressant. No SSRI. It's been 30 years that he's taken a pill every single day. He's been to psychologists, psychiatrists, XYZ different doctors. He's tried different medications. He's taken a pill or needed it every single day for the last 30 years. And he has not taken a pill since working with me for the last 2 months. What's changed? Just what he's eating. Those are 2 stories of thousands.
What you are putting in your mouth.
What
right?
you are putting in your mouth. You're not losing the battle in the gym. You're not losing the battle in your mind. That's important. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to do the single most effective thing in regards to your health, it's about controlling what you put into your freaking mouth. I guarantee it. I'll stake my life on it. I'll bet my life on it. I'll put my business on it. You want to come and argue it, and I'll prove you fucking wrong. I guarantee it. It is controversial, highly, but come get some, and I'll show you it's not.
And it's honestly, it's just different than what the culture has put out. And I will ask anybody, should we be following what we see the culture do?
Depends on what. For me, I even tell my business partner this. If there's a line somewhere to get something, I probably don't want it.
Yeah.
Meaning, if people are standing in line somewhere for something, a product, let's say, obviously there are queues.
Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. With the war between them and Chick-fil-A, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, this came up because I was walking through the Union Square Farmers Market in New York City a few years ago, and every purveyor had a huge queue. And it was like the bread place, the sweets place, the this place, the treats, the snacks. And there was all like, vegan sweets and treats and loaf, artisanal bread and blah, like veggies, da 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 da. And then I come across like this dairy and egg farmer. There's no line. Right. He's got grass-fed meats, organs, bone marrow, like all the good stuff. And I walk up to him, no line. Every other place is a line. I walk up to him. Oh, man, can I get that 6-pack of eggs you got there? He's like, oh, dude, I can't sell them to you because one's missing and one's broke. I was like, oh, shucks. And he goes, you know what? Here, man, you can just have it. And I was like, oh, dude, no, let me at least pay you like $5 for him, But literally, he's like, here, man, just take it for free. All these other people are standing in line for booze, sweets, processed and refined sugar, junk food. Essentially, let's call it poison. This guy is literally extending his hand, offering me life. What are eggs? They're embryos. What are embryos? They are life. For free, dude. It fucking split my wig open right then and there. And I said, my God, this is a lightning bolt. I had an epiphany for sure right there. Lightning struck my brain in that moment. I will never forget it. This man extended to me life in his hand for free. And right there was the beginning of me going, okay, if there's anything on for a line, I probably don't need it. If it's advertised for on TV, I probably don't need it. Right now, I'm in the process of trying to get rid of my car again because I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want car insurance. Everything that's pitched to us on television, for the most part, all the food, it's 99% garbage, straight up. The booze, it's going to poison your mind, rot your cells, keep you stupid, keep you weak, make you valuable because you're a weak and sick person. Wow. Insurance, credit card debt, loans, mortgages, everything's about stabilizing the economy. Nothing is actually to the benefit of the individual. The food, again, I don't know where to start. Where's the commercials for the small farmers and the people that can actually nourish and help our minds and bodies live better and longer? No, it's about pills, pharmaceutical drugs, da 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 da. It's a whole other rabbit hole. But the answers, or rather the writing on the wall, is all around us, but we're blinded. Your people are blinded because of their choices. And so many of those choices have to do with what they put into their mouths. Next time you're at the airport, it's the best place to watch. You'll see everyone in there sitting down, number one. They're all neck broken like this.
On the phone.
No one is reading a book. And this was another epiphany. I was flying transatlantic a couple years ago, and I was standing in this international terminal like this, standing, not like this, but here, reading Neutral Spine. And I dropped my book kind of like this and was looking around. And there was like 6 flights outbound. They're all going minimum like 5-6 hours across the Atlantic, Zurich, Dubai, Berlin, whatever. And here I am reading this book, standing, and I look around, and every other passenger is sitting down and they're on a digital device and they're all snacking on shit food. And you talk about that feeling of difference or isolation or or being like, I'm on to something now. And that's when it really came through, because I thought about the eggs again. I thought about the other moments again. And now here I am solo. And I was like, okay, this is the place for me. And because of how it's making me feel and how my life was changing. And it's where it's gotten me today.
Man, seriously, who were you before the world got to you? And that's what being countercultural is. I mean, most people are just looking for that approval, looking to be like everybody else. And it becomes a habit. I couldn't tell you what that feeling is like when you know you're the only one doing something. You just feel like you're doing right by yourself and for yourself. And that moment in the airport, I can only imagine, like, wow, like I love myself. That's a moment right there.